It's a great day to take a walk down the waterfront in Portland. Our famous cherry blossoms are now blooming. We've got a lot of people down here taking videos and pictures. Let's talk about how the city's doing. I've got a little list for you. I've got some good things. I've got some things, well, let's not call them bad things, but maybe things that need improvement. And then maybe a few other things. I'll let you decide. If you're thinking about moving to Portland, you want to know more about the area, you want to see how the city's doing, stick around. Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel, Living in Oregon. I'm your host, Seth Marchant. Let's dive right into it. So I'm going to start with the good stuff first. I like the positive stuff. So the first thing, and I'm just going to kind of cover some of the most recent news here, some of the stuff that has happened over the past few months. All right, first thing on our list, TriMet. Got some good news out of TriMet. Why does that matter? Well, I tend to find there's a correlation between how people feel about safety and how willing they are to take public transit. And TriMet over the last few years has had a few incidents that might have compelled people to find other methods of transportation. So it's good to hear some of these numbers. TriMet reported weekly system ridership up 4.4% year over year, with bus ridership up 5.8% and weekday fixed route ridership up 4.2%. And with that, sort of in conjunction, traffic downtown is also up. Anecdotally, for me, it's definitely been noticeable. If you go back a few years ago, 3, 4, 5 years ago, kind of right around post-pandemic, definitely felt like a ghost town in some places. I definitely heard that from some of you, some of the viewers that watch this channel. Had a few calls over the last few years of people that used to live here that were considering moving back here full-time, and they came back to visit, and we're sort of surprised at the lack of traffic downtown. While total foot traffic has not returned to 2019 pre-pandemic levels, there's been consistent growth, particularly on the weekends. Approximately 32 million pedestrians visited downtown Portland in 25, up from 30 million in 2024, a 5.5% increase. Next thing, Portland just recently announced that they have hit the new mayor, Keith Wilson's goal of having 1,500 beds.
Our homelessness crisis demanded a solution that could meet the moment. And today I'm proud to announce that we've met a major goal. We've increased our emergency overnight shelter capacity by 1,500 beds and created the ability to add additional beds as needed.
And the purpose of this was one of the campaign goals or promises of Keith Wilson, and it's been just over a year now, was to get everybody off of the streets, whether it was into more permanent housing or temporary housing. Now, he has not accomplished that, but I can appreciate some ambitious goals. Not going to always accomplish ambitious goals, but it looks like they are on the path of actually getting to where they want to be and meeting some of these numbers. So even though not hitting the goal, I would definitely chalk that up as a win and a good thing for Portland. Definitely headed in the right direction. All right, let's talk about a few things that need improvement now. This is something that Portland and Oregon in general has struggled for a while with, which is education. Portland public schools are facing a $50 million deficit, and now district officials are reporting a mid-year operating gap for this year. Now, Portland Public Schools is the largest school district, but they're not alone. I've seen this with Beaverton, I've seen this with Tigard-Tualatin, I've seen this with North Clackamas School District, all facing deficits. Oregon was not exactly ranked super high for education in the first place. And one of Oregon's top school districts is actually closing down 2 primary schools despite not having budget deficits, citing population decline. You've got kids, if you're somebody that's thinking about moving here and are conscious of the schools, there's probably a lot for you to learn, more than I can cover in this video. I'm happy to go more in depth with you. If you'd like to get in touch with me, you can find all the contact information in the description of this video. Call, text, email, however you want to get in touch. Now the next thing, we've got a grocery store closing down in East Portland, and this comes right after Fred Meyer shut down a location also in East Portland. If you're not familiar with Fred Meyer, they are one of the largest employers in all of Oregon. Fred Meyers are similar to like a Walmart. It's kind of like one of those everything stores. They've got groceries and home goods, automotive, all that stuff. So the East Portland supermarket that is closing is the grocery outlet off of Sandy Boulevard, citing struggles with shopping and vandalism. Now, the West Coast is sort of known for these things. We aren't exactly high in violent crime or things like assault or rape, but we do tend to be a little bit higher in things like theft and burglary. So that's one area that Portland is going to have to improve. It's been kind of a consistent theme we've seen over the past 3 or 4 years, stores closing down, and primarily on the east side. Next thing, and I know there's probably some people who are not going to agree with this, specifically the Portland City Council, because they are proposing a fee on landlords who have vacant buildings, which we have a lot of. Haven't checked the numbers very recently. I've covered this in the past, but there have been times, and probably right now as we speak, where Portland has had the highest commercial vacancy in the entire country. Okay, so why is this a problem? Well, I'm a licensed real estate broker. I primarily transact residential real estate, although I can transact commercial real estate. I'm not a commercial real estate broker, but this is sort of delving into my area of expertise, and frankly, there's a lot of problems with this. So where to start? Well, the first thing, the landlords can't just magically conjure up tenants. So it's not exactly as if they can just do something to immediately fix this problem. Now, of course, they can lower their rates, but when you do so, it also lowers the value of the building. So that's not something that landlords are ever going to be excited to do. In fact, a lot of times landlords would prefer to have a vacancy rather than to lower their rates. But this is particularly poignant right now. The commercial real estate market downtown has really struggled. Take a look at some of these numbers. I saw this on Facebook. This person is a principal broker for Century 21, I believe. So I believe these numbers to be accurate. So you can see a lot of our biggest buildings have taken major hits recently. And when you impose new fees, so speaking as somebody who has represented real estate buyers, whenever a new fee is imposed or whenever something is going to alter the cost or terms of the transaction, of course, that's going to get taken into consideration. So maybe one of these commercial places has a vacancy right now and they have a buyer that's thinking about buying their place, but the buyer got wind of these new fees that are coming up, and so now the buyer has to take into account these things. And so in other words, this sort of lessens the buyer pool for these commercial real estate properties, and when you do that, you also reduce value. In other words, you make the property worth less when there's fewer people that are interested in purchasing it. And if you care about the city, you have to care about the value of the city, and a lot of the value of the city, of course, is going to be wrapped up in real estate. So you really want to make being a landlord or being a business owner as easy as possible. You want to attract as many of these people as possible, and making things more difficult, having more taxes, having more fees, dissuades people rather than attracts people. So I can understand simplistically, like, hey, landlords, fill your vacancies or else we're going to charge you, but you're not likely to get the desired result. What's more likely to happen is landlords will either pass these fees along or they'll just try and get out of the game. They'll try and sell their properties. And if you're thinking like, well, maybe who owns all of these like 8-figure, or in some cases, in other places, 9-figure buildings, is it just a bunch of billionaires, a bunch of rich, wealthy people that own these buildings? Oftentimes not. Oftentimes it's a series of investors. It could be a lot of mom and pop, smaller, what's called limited partners. So when you see these numbers on these commercial real estate buildings and the hits that they're taking on their sales, it's usually not just a handful of people. It's usually going to be a lot of people. So not only would this not be a great idea, but just talking about it can lower real estate values. And by the way, if you are thinking about buying or selling a home in the Portland, Vancouver, I'm also licensed in Washington area, I invite you to call, text, email, however you want to get in touch. You can find all the contact information in the description of this video below, or hit that QR code and that will take you to our website. It's never too early to get in touch. If you're just looking for information, happy to supply that for you as well. All right, now I have a couple more I'm going to let you decide. First one, Portland Fire Department. They recently announced that they will no longer be responding to fires unless the fires are uncontained. So the reason being is because they were simply just getting too many calls that they were having to respond to, and it was eating up all of the resources, and people that maybe needed assistance that weren't getting assistance, people that are having medical emergencies, weren't getting the resources that they needed because so much of it was being dedicated to these very common fires that are found all around these homeless camps, and some of them sometimes do get out of control. So before they were putting out all of the fires, no matter how big or how small. Now they're saying only if it's uncontained. All right, final one. This one's a little bit interesting to me because this is a little bit of a hack that people have used that have lived close to the border in Oregon and Washington. And what the hack is, in Oregon, as you might know, we don't have any sales tax. In Washington, they don't have any income tax. And so you can sort of get around taxes by living in Washington, not paying any income tax, and then shopping in Portland, coming across the bridge, one of the two bridges, coming across the river to do all of your shopping and avoid paying sales tax. I don't think there's actually that many people do it, but that's definitely been a thing for a while. And Washington recently introduced a new income tax. Now this is only going to apply to people making $1 million a year or more. It's 9.9%, let's just call it 10. So people making $1 million or more, just $1 million a year, they're gonna fork out an extra 100 grand a year to the state of Washington. If you're making $1 million, you're paying the feds 37%, so it's 370 grand. Now you're paying 470. Just wonder if that is enough for some of these people in Washington to move, especially if you're close to the border. Some of these people might be remote, I don't know. We've seen a lot of that lately. We've worked with a lot of remote workers these days. More and more people are remote at those upper income levels, 7 figures plus. Really don't know what the remote numbers look like, but I wonder if we'll see some people coming down here to Portland who had been using that hack. And why would they come down here? Well, typically people prefer being down closer to Portland. There's more amenities here. You're closer to the coast, closer to the mountains. There's just a lot more, closer to wine country, all the things that people tend to do around here. You're going to Oregon games, Oregon State games, you're closer to those. It'd be interesting to see how that plays out. All right, well, if you want to watch part 1 or part 2, I've made these videos a few times in the past. And if you want to see more videos about what it's like to live in Oregon, focused around the Portland, Vancouver metropolitan area, we've got hundreds of videos on our channel. We release new videos every single week. Make sure and subscribe. If you have any feedback, if you live here, feel free to let us know in the comments how you think the city's doing. Give me a thumbs up if you like this video, and until next time, take care, everyone.